Hi,
Hi, Morgan.
how are you?
So blessed. So blessed.
I would love to hear more about like your journey and how you got to where you are today. And I'm very interested to learn more about you, Carla. So
Well,
please
sure.
tell me more.
So I went into the military, experienced MST, which is military sexual trauma. And at that time, it was right after the tailhook incident. And so they were really trying to prove that women were welcomed and safe inside, while the reality wasn't necessarily true. So I got blamed for that military sexual trauma, and I just shoved it down. You just keep on going, you keep moving forward. And then I'd have these relationships where there was domestic violence. It was toxic and traumatic and violent and financial abuse and things like that. And I finally got a partner where I said enough is enough, and I fought back, and I caused some very serious harm. I'm I could be serving life right now. Things got pretty heavy pretty quickly. When I went into prison, I said I cannot come out with that kind of rage. I have to figure out what's going on. I have to deal with some things. I can't shove things down anymore because they come out sideways, and that causes harm to others and to myself. There wasn't a lot of programming that I felt was helpful. So there's an orientation process that you go through in the beginning. And I was told immediately, as soon as you go out into general population, you need to start applying to take anger management. I never got accepted into anger management. Here I am, incarcerated on a violent charge, two felonies. I am asking for this class, but they won't give it to me. And the reason was because I didn't fight inside. I didn't get attacked and I didn't hurt anyone. So they didn't feel that I needed it. They wanted me to go through my entire 15 to 20-year prison sentence, which is cut in half in Nebraska, 7.5 years, and then seek anger management when I got out.
When you went to prison and you mentioned that you knew you had to do something about the rage,
Sure.
how did you come to that awareness that you wanted to change, that you knew you needed to change?
Well, I knew that I always ran away from problems. I didn't face things. And sometimes it's alcohol, sometimes it's just avoidance, procrastination, all that stuff. Prison kind of forces you to stop. You can still do that stuff, but I decided I was in my 40s. Like, I knew that when I got out, I didn't want to ever go back there. And so that was an opportunity to make changes. And even if there wasn't a program that was going to guide me, I'd have to read books or journal or pray or find something or deal with stuff right away. And advocacy really helped because I'm going to ask for something, it's going to be denied, and I can internalize that and feel rejected or abandoned, or I can meet it where it's at and figure out how to navigate. And that was a long journey, but it was worth it.
I heard you say, I think this is true for many people, that we just sweep things under the rug. Did you find that advocacy helped give you a voice to get some of that out?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I find advocacy is empowering. Because of my military background, I knew chain of command. I knew that no did not necessarily mean no, and that there's ways to do things. Like, first of all, you have to know what the rules are, and you have to know how to go above if the facility is not doing like that. The rules keep going. There's always somebody above, above, above. And I learned right away that the things that were happening in prisons would come to an immediate halt if people outside knew. So, like now, you're illegally doing something and you're justifying it. And that's not okay because I did something wrong. And so this is not rehabilitation and this is not helpful. So if I got to tell on you to get things changed, then I'm going to, but we can work together, come up with solutions. Like there's all kinds of personalities and behaviors in there. To me, it didn't make sense to fight. You don't like somebody, you don't have to hit them. Like there's a whole other area you can go, but that's that prison politics. I didn't like it. And as a mom and an adult, I no, I'm not going to do it. So I navigated very differently than a lot of my peers. They were shocked that I would have conversations with the warden. It was nothing for me to get called up to the office or the sergeant, like something was going on. I wanted to know who the sergeant of the day was, who's the lieutenant of the day, and they try to blow me out. Oh, we don't have one. Really? So you're working without a supervisor today. That's really interesting. Then you write that in a grievance. Oh, but like you just learn how to navigate.
Yeah. The healthy way, it sounds
Sure.
like.
Sure. And then it was a learning process because who's going to be believed? I really had to work on being trustworthy, being like they learned real quick not to blow me off, really quick, but also they didn't know how to navigate me being quiet about things. Like I'd ask a question and they'd be like, "Why is she asking that?" Oh God, who's she talking to? Who's she writing? What is she doing? And we had pockets in our khaki shirts, and I would always have a piece of paper. So if something was happening that I didn't like, I'd take it out, write down the date and the time. Maybe I'd write a grievance, maybe I wouldn't. But I wanted documentation because when they said this didn't happen, and I could say, well, on this date, at this time, and it drove them crazy because they just didn't have anybody that navigated like that before. I really worked hard on what are my values? What are my morals? What's the solution? After I did the protest, I got sent down to solitary confinement. And one of the guards who was a little more, who treated us more humanly, comes by, calls me up to that steel door and says, you have to choose your battles. And I put my hands on my hips and I said, everything is a battle. Like everywhere I turned, I was seeing just horrible, unacceptable stuff. And he looked at me, shrugged his shoulders, and walked away. And I'm like, he's trying to tell me something, and I'm not in a place to hear it. So let me let that seed plant, let me let it germinate. And then I realize I do not have to fight every single thing. Some things are urgent, some things really uncomfortable, but can I make a difference there? No, I'll do what I can. And sometimes you're going in this direction and you have to take a shift, and that's okay too. That's life. Like I was just practicing how to live. The hard part was when so much is set up against you, so much, and watching people not be ready and that self harm and that self sabotage, like that was like looking in a mirror. And what do? You just sometimes you have to accept things that you do not want to accept. That's a hard pill to swallow.
But you have such a beautiful awareness about life and the human condition. And, going fast forwarding back to when you're in solitary confinement and the guard told you what he said about having to pick your own battles and what was the result of that germinating within you and how, like, where did it lead you from there, that idea?
I had to learn that there weren't enough hours in the day to fight everything. So I would have to prioritize. And sometimes, like, I bought a typewriter that was a pretty big purchase, and I would type letters. I even typed up an invitation that I sent to the director for him to come see what they were serving me for meals. Like, things were serious. And he didn't come, but he sent the assistant principal. And that was an amazing experience. But I just had to look, and there were times I would hear this quiet voice within that would say, there's that scripture, be still and know that I am God. And I am not religious. I grew up in church schools, but I'm spiritual. But I kept hearing, be still, be still. And so sometimes I just have to get quiet and listen and let the answers come. And that was a beautiful, like, I didn't have to be on 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. But when I needed to, here we go. And sometimes it would just be a matter of writing the request to talk to somebody, and they want to shut it down. What do you need? What's going on? How can we? So, and then they started an inmate council where we got to have conversations. And I wasn't trying to rule anything. Like, there were generations, there were different cultures. Let's have conversations. Let's figure out solutions together. But then you've got the people who hustle and my way, the highway, that kind of thing. So that it's beautiful, but also difficult. And so how do you navigate that? And so having those opportunities helped. But yeah, I don't know that there was one particular time. It just there were times where I would just walk out in the yard and just look up at the sky and go, I don't know what you need me to do. Like what do I do? I don't know what else to do at this point. And you just keep going.
Wow.
I built resilience. That's what I built because I was a professional quitter before I went inside. I really was. I don't like this. This is uncomfortable. I'm not going to do it. Goodbye. I knew yoga and I knew meditation, but there's so many different types. And I meditated inside and I did yoga inside when I could. Centering prayer was so uncomfortable. Like I liked it didn't matter how noisy things were around me, I could find my zen. But I had been out, what, 4 years before I found them. And most of the guys, that's how they got through their 20, 30-year terms. So we're coming from it from very different perspectives, but also from where we needed it. Like, I think it would have been helpful had I had it inside, but I also needed to build that resilience that what is that chutzpah? Like they just didn't scare me. Like it was crazy how they put on riot gear. Okay, like I mean, what are you gonna do? Like I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting. I'm not spitting. I'm not throwing anything. So you guys are trying to intimidate me. I don't intimidate well, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you do that. Go right ahead. But also being angry, like I'm not gonna let you hurt me. So, how do you want to do this? And they didn't know what to do. They just didn't know. And horrible things that they do. And I would just, nope, I'm more stubborn than you. I would tease that I have more stubbornness than sense sometimes. But I feel like if that's what advocacy is not a quick fix. It doesn't happen overnight. And so how do I build my resilience? And
Right.
if I get to take a break fighting your retaliation, bring it on. Let's do this.
Yeah. And you presented them with a completely different response than what they
Sure.
are used to and expect, because
Sure.
I can imagine how it felt to maintain that center and that resilience with all this external pressure.
Sure.
Yet you did it and now you're
Yeah.
free. When did
Yeah.
you come home?
I got out in 21 in January. It was COVID, and I loved that because I am an only child and I need time away to process. But I learned about Zoom. That was perfect because that kept me connected. I couldn't isolate. And I also got to be in my own space to go from something so obnoxiously loud to the silence was piercing, and navigating that. And so yeah, that was interesting. And then as things were progressing and things were healing, I was getting back into, I knew people on camera. And so meeting them in person was wonderful. We had already warmed up to each other. So yeah.
So you went from one extreme to the other. I imagine, was there any turbulence, or how was that being where you were for so long and then coming into the complete opposite? What was like, did your meditation practice, did your prayer practice, did the stillness and the silence, like just kind of, you had more room and space for that, or did it just kind of, how did that transition go?
When I used it, it was great. But when you're sitting in front of a TV, binge watching Netflix, ordering whatever you want to eat, and if you don't have to get up and then you're not on a routine, and then you go, oh, I've gained a lot of weight. When was the last time I checked in with anybody? How much water have I had? Like really breaking it down to the basics. So I've had a few bumps with depression, but the last time I was supposed to take a family trip and I couldn't go. I got really, really sick. I don't know if it was flu or something, but I was really, really sick. And I hate getting sick because then the depression comes. And I said, I can't, at least once a year, this would happen. And I said, I've got to figure this out. Found an amazing therapist who gave me homework and taught me. She created a safe foundation for me to talk about those things that I'd buried years and years and years ago. And she also worked in parole at one point in her career, and she contracted with the VA. So she got it. I didn't have to explain anything to her. And at that point, I wasn't taking psychotropics anymore. I wanted to do everything natural. She's totally supported that. She would say, how's your inflammation? Try some castor oil, put it on the outside in those sore spots. And I'm like, who is this woman? She's incredible, but she's about healing. She's not about just meeting you once a week, once a month to get a paycheck. She wants people to heal. We had to set a goal. How long am I going to see you? You know, and if you tell me you're fine and you're not, you're lying to me. I don't want to be, she just is amazing. So, but it took a while to get to her and to find her, and I just feel so blessed. And now I can, my body can dip however it wants to, and because of the different meditation practices plus centering prayer, I now have a safe foundation right here to sit with it. I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm sad. So many of my friends are getting cancer and blood diseases, and they're older and they're dying. I sit with that. Sometimes it's thank you for this sadness. Thank you for this pain of missing this person, but sitting with it, not judging it, just sitting with, and I didn't think you could survive that. Like that's heartbreak. We can. We really can. If you're hydrated, if you're eating, if you've stretched your body, if you're breathing, it's just the basics. And sometimes that's all I can do. Okay, so I took a shower and I brushed my teeth today. The end. That's it. Okay. All right. But not every day. Like we're gonna figure this out. So it's just listening. It's listening to the body.
And you just radiate this like aura of love that is just like so contagious. So,
Thank you. I came across a quote that said, we manifest our core beliefs. And it took my breath away when I saw that. And I asked myself, what is it that you believe about yourself? And I answered honestly, I didn't think I was worthy. I didn't think I was smart enough. And so once I said it out loud, it no longer had power. Okay, so I learned differently. Okay, so I am differently. I march to the beat of a different drum. Like, where do I fit in? And maybe I don't fit in it anywhere. Maybe I'm like that dandelion fluff that's flying. I'm okay with that because I'm good at it. And if that helps me to maneuver to any kind of circle, like it was nothing in the military to be the only female somewhere. I still got to be a girl, but I also got to show that I had strength. That's amazing. At work release, sometimes I'd be the only female on the guy's van. I loved when they would ask me questions. Carla, I want to make sure that I'm not sexually harassing. How do I ask this girl? You know, I mean, like, yes, let's have open conversations and don't be talking about her like that. This is what a compliment sounds like. This is what, just it's community in human, but we're so disconnected. Poetry saved my life because no matter what was going on, I could write a poem about it. The hardest thing, the ugliest thing, the most beautiful thing, I could write a poem about it. Didn't have to necessarily be shared, but it was beautiful when it was. And so also quilting, sewing, that was amazing to me. How beautiful and healing that is. Planting, gardening, these are all basic things that some kind of a creative outlet. And that's what I want my peers inside to have access to. Not not to be snatched away. eh, Like that should be the daily thing. Do you have access to hygiene? Do you have access to hydration and healthy food? Oh, hydroponics is a beautiful way to get you the fruits and vegetables you need all year long. It's affordable. Like that, it's doable. So, but I had to get rid of just seeing the negative. I had to start being grateful and just to sit in things. Like, I don't need to judge this. It is what it is. And I don't have to control it. That's so freeing. Nope, it has to be this way. OCD says it has to be done this way. Well, OCD is a lie, and I want truth in my life. So, how do I release that power?
Going back to centering prayer, you said when you first started it, having meditation experience, yoga experience, it was really uncomfortable. So is it comfortable today?
Yeah, yeah. So, at work release, I connected with the Lincoln Friends, which are Quakers. And rather than have someone standing at a pulpit, you sit in a circle in silence for an hour. And that's probably one of the most beautiful experiences I ever had. All kinds of ages, all kinds of beliefs, but we would sit quietly for an hour and the breathing, sometimes the snoring and the gurgling tummies, but it was such a safe space. And I would think about everybody I passed in the work release in the work release center, and I'd send out a prayer of thanks for having crossed paths with them. And so that was the connection. And the Quakers believe that you pray for things and then sitting in silence is when the answers come. What a beautiful concept. Centering prayer, a little bit different. They're asking you to sit in silence. Well, I can be silent. I can do this. It's just uncomfortable. So, yeah, it's different. And not every sit is great. Like, there are times where it's, look, you want me to be still? Look, can we talk about this? Be still now. And sometimes that you just, yeah, yeah. But my body reacts very distinctly if I skip a sit. And so to me, that's making time, not just for self care, but for spiritual care, because it's not me. Like I'm doing my thing, but there's also this higher power that I believe in. Like I'm here for a purpose. If sitting for 20 minutes twice a day is going to help me stay grounded and in that purpose, And Morgan, the things that have crossed my path since I've begun it. I got an email today from an indigenous woman who wants to create mobile hydroponic units. That is so up my alley. I know, like not everybody can have a garden. Couldn't you take a hydroponic unit into a prison and then you don't have to worry about creating a space that they have to secure? Like, here comes the bus. And you're going to check on your plant and you're going to check on the water and you're going to snip off the herbs. How beautiful is that? Or learn how to do that. So it's those kinds of things that are happening.
And regardless of if it's uncomfortable or not, because I'm sure I appreciate that you said not every sit is
Sure.
comfortable, but you have your body has this commitment to do it, otherwise it goes a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
And it just, but look at the therapist you found. Look at this lady that emailed you. Like how how does this
Yeah.
happen?
Right. Right. It's getting out of my own way and allowing the universe to show me the gifts that are right here. I've heard a lot of people theorize that everything we need is within us. Like our bodies can heal. Our like in our minds, it's here, but what are we blocking? Like if I'm sitting watching some silly, ridiculous show instead of taking a few minutes to listen to the birds, I'm not getting everything that life is offering me. So how do I find that balance?
Yeah.
And yeah, sitting helps. Like there will be times I'm just in tears, just so upset and frustrated, but I'm sitting in it or stretching in it and allowing it to be.
Oh, that's the key.
Yeah.
You have lots of practices and it's beautiful. And then with the centering prayer, like how did you get through that discomfort and know like, oh, this is good. This is part of my foundation. This is what I need.
It wasn't like one particular time. Like it's practice. It is practice. Like I took piano lessons and that's it. Oof, this is C and this is, you know what I
I've
mean?
taken piano lessons, so I get you.
Yeah, yeah. So it is practice. And sometimes those fingers flow, and sometimes it's, oh, I get this note. Um, it's interesting because I'm fine doing it alone. I'm comfortable doing it alone. I have a perfect spot, but there is something about doing it with a group. And that tells me that community is important. Like we have people being reclusive, and I really wanted to be one of them at one point until I really, yeah, it's not healthy. Like there, that really is community, really sharing the breath and sharing the breathing and that's the beauty of it. So it's a daily in cooking, like I'm not the greatest cook. I do okay. Sometimes I can make the same meal and mess it up, and other times it's phenomenal. It's just practice. And I think you have to practice. You have
Yeah.
to practice being human, practice being a mom, practice being a grandma. There is no room for perfection, and that's okay. I'm okay practicing. And that's where those years of suicidal ideation no longer have power because I am practicing being the best human I can be and doing pretty good at it. Like I still have a long way to go and there's so much room for improvement, but things are improving. They are. It's beautiful.
What does it mean to have a community that has similar lived experience relating to being inside prison?
That's funny because I felt that same way after getting out of the military. My mom has a neighbor who's in his 80s. He was in the Navy too. We met outside. There's just a connection when you've been through something. There's that connection, and you can get a military people, and the war stories start, and they're not all bad, but there's just that community understanding. And when you've been through trauma with people, you get it. And so I've have it on different levels: military, prison, different school groups, different choir groups. That kind of when you've worked towards something. I always wondered people that raised barns together, like those communities. I mean, that's hard work when you're really sweating and taking care of each other. I think those are pieces of community. That's what I think it is. But to me, this kid walks in, tattoos from head to toe. Beautiful kid. I don't look like I've been in prison. I don't talk like it or act like it. But for him to come in and share space and me to let him know we're alumni and I'm so glad to meet him and watch his eyes light up like you fit here. I am so glad that I get to meet you. I'm so excited about working on this project with you. Like it's just that kind of, you don't have to explain anything to me because I get it. But if you need to talk about it, let's find a space. If you need to vent, I don't want you shoving anything down, swallowing it. I want you to feel. And if I'm not the one, if you need to talk to a guy, I know a few guys that would love to walk the walk with you, but creating that space.
How would you describe centering prayer to someone who knows nothing about it and or who's never tried it?
I would describe centering prayer as a time and place to sit with yourself and your practice, your religious practice or spiritual practice, because I'm not religious. I'm just not. I decided that was not the direction I want to go. And yet it's part of my community and prayer is important to me. We pray how we're comfortable. I don't pray out loud. I go to different churches for different organizations. I do not pray out loud. I pray silently through my meditation, through my actions. And that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. That's where I'm at, and I'm okay with it. And when I'm sitting, I feel like I'm not being admonished for that. So I don't know if that's an explanation. I guess I just really have not. I know people know that I do it and they're kind of like, what are you talking about? But they're also like, you sit in silence for an hour? Yes, I do. That terrifies some people. So I get it. But yeah, that's interesting.
So, but this has been super lovely chatting with you, Carla. I'm so grateful for sharing this space with you today, and it's been
Yeah.
lovely getting to know you. Just wonderful. It's what an inspiration. What an inspiration.
Thank you.